Hello everyone, I'm Catherine Bowen. I'm the Senior Policy Advisor at the BVRLA, and I'd like to welcome you to this video interview. I'm joined today by Chris Horbowyj, who's the Channel Sales Director at Trakm8. Chris has been with Trakm8 for 3 years, but in the industry for over 20. And prior to working for Trakm8, he's worked with Causeway Technologies, Masternaut, and Green Road. Chris also has experience in SaaS software, providing a variety of different solutions to improve companies' safety and risk, efficiencies, duty of care, and cost savings. Trakm8 is a leading provider of telematics, vehicle cameras, and fleet optimization to vehicle leasing companies. With more than 250,000 live devices, its products can be supplied as co-branded or branded as the leasing company's own solution. Trakm8 is one of the only telematics providers that designs and manufactures its devices in the UK. Thank you, Chris, for taking the time to talk to me today.
Pleasure.
Okay, so our first question, are you seeing any new long-term trends emerging because of the coronavirus?
I think when we've spoken to customers before on the onset of coronavirus, they've often said the reasons they were obviously taking more serious looks into solutions like Trakm8, optimization and connected care, generally because they wanted to find ways to shore up efficiencies in their commercial fleets, but fundamentally also whilst promoting driver safety and vehicle health really. And so in the face of unprecedented levels of demand, what they've seen in the past 6 months of our customers have been looking at ways they can better utilize telematic technology to ensure their fleets are working as efficiently as possible. The other slightly unexpected trend we're seeing, though, is that while demand is down from its highest point at the peak of the pandemic, it's still well above where it was this time last year. Many end users have made the leap to things such as online shopping, and we're now seeing consumers comfortable with doing so, and so optimization, being able to efficiently plan routes for the next day, but also keeping the vehicles on the road being identified of any areas of concern from our connected care software, as in, is the service next due, or is the any engine warning lights, keeping that vehicle uptime and reducing the need to obviously find replacement vehicles is very key to businesses.
Okay, and you mentioned your connected care product quite a few times there. Are you able to describe a typical user case study where using a fleet management solution such as connected care has had a positive impact on downtime?
Yeah, so we already partner with a number of leasing companies or fleet management companies. I guess one prime example of that would be Pendragon. They're quite a big, large leasing group, certainly on the consumer side, but they obviously have quite a large commercial fleet leasing operation. And what we did was we effectively partnered with them to enable them to get true odometer readings. So our connected care is a unique algorithm to Trakm8 that we've developed internally, and our vehicle engineers have come from a diagnostic background. And what the connected care offers is that you can take a variety set of our hardware that suits that commercial fleet and customer, and it enables us to push the real odometer back to Pendragon, who are managing that fleet. It'll also highlight when the next service is due. It will also capture AdBlue levels, because as we all know with AdBlue, if you run out of the AdBlue, the vehicle will not start. So we can pre-warn businesses that the levels are running low. And in most cases, what we've done is, as well, is we can effectively capture up to 5 warning lamps off the dashboard as well. So if a vehicle is remote, as we all know now, certainly for grey fleet as well, and there's a vehicle with an error on the dash, we're able to let that fleet manager or let that leasing company aware of that, so they can proactively respond to that.
Okay. And are there any key trends that you are able to highlight for me today that you saw across your network throughout the lockdown month?
Yeah, we've seen a drop in the number of new vehicles going on the road. Obviously, we've been trying to understand why that is, but the feedback we've received from some of our big leasing companies is that manufacturers temporarily suspended production, and obviously with staff going on furlough as well, there wasn't as much new contracts coming through. The other direct effect we've seen though in these areas is insurance telematics, particularly for pay as you go based on the mileage. Because of our ability to capture real odo, we've actually seen in our usage-based insurance an actual increase in manufacturing for us and sales, and there's also been an increase in our interest in our sales-based and our ability to provide actual odometer readings, which is fundamentally very key to the leasing world.
And what tips could you offer fleet managers to maximise their fleet uptime?
I mean, it's always one of these areas of you feel that you've got complete visibility over your fleet once it's out there, and I mean, when I first came into telematics 20 plus years ago, having a dot on a map and seeing where that engineer or that delivery driver was or that company car user was, and having some sort of GPS mileage capture was very useful in that scenario. But I think time moves on, and as vehicles develop in regards to its ability of technology, I think it's very key that we try and extract as much information we can from that remote vehicle and provide that business insight to that fleet management company that are managing that fleet on behalf of the customer. Or indeed, if we have some of our companies like Scottish Power and E.ON, where we can actually push that raw data straight to them into their fleet management systems to quickly highlight that a service is due or there is an issue with the vehicle, to reduce that vehicle downtime and loss of work, to ensure that they're as efficient as they possibly can be.
And remote working, it's clearly here to stay. How would you say this trend is impacting your business, but also your customers' demands for your products and services?
Yeah, good question. Internally as a business at Trakm8, what we obviously are quite proud of is that we can manufacture most of our technology, in fact all of it, in Coleshill in our West Midlands site. But internally, our manufacturing side is working to meet the demand of our user-based insurance side of the business, but also our fleet side. And what we've done is with manufacturing, we've put all appropriate social distance measures in place. Likewise, on the sales and marketing side, we've reduced, certainly for my team and the other sales and marketing teams, we've reduced the amount of time in the office. And introduced a one-way system with 2-meter rules and visors and glasses screens in the office, with a rota system to avoid any overcrowding with meeting rooms, or well, we've reduced massively our scope for meeting rooms because we tend to find not many people are coming in anymore. And going with a hybrid office home working solution, we've actually seen an increase in productivity, certainly from our staff. Less distraction, should we say, and I feel the whole team at Trakm8 have adapted exceptionally well to the new way of working in whilst we're going through this pandemic. Is effectively.
It's now been a good few months since the lockdown was lifted. Do you feel that the automotive supply chain is fully up and running yet, or would you say it's still in recovery mode?
From our perspective as a service provider, we enable fleets to work better. We've seen an increase and interest in an array of our products, such as the optimization and certainly the fleet management of connected care, and ensuring vehicles are driving as safely as they can do when they're out working. Definitely seen a demand from our customers in that respect. Our view, though, from the start of the supply chain, is slightly obscured, as we don't effectively supply the vehicle. We usually fit our products prior to that vehicle actually reaching the end customer. However, we have seen a steady increase in the number of new vehicles coming on board as and now things are starting to evolve and vehicles are coming to market. It's been quite an interesting outlook from our point of view, monitoring and watching that. But certainly over the last, I would say definitely 4 to 6 weeks, we've seen our biggest increase in activity for fitting units now. Now those vehicles are starting to come through, so it's quite positive for us. What's quite interesting for us is to take part in this, because predominantly, you know, we're a big fan and very loyal to the BVRLA, because we obviously, albeit we're not supplying vehicles, we are supplying our technology to quite a number of leasing companies now. And so for me, it's important that we take part in these exercises to give a slightly different outlook from our view looking in, as opposed to the dealerships, and the dealerships and leasing companies that we work with have been very, very open with us. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with them and continue to strive ahead. You know, we've secured a number of leasing companies of late recently that are looking to say, well, we can supply telematics, but actually what's important to us as a business is actually capturing that real ODO and not letting vehicles go over service schedules, or avoiding. Interestingly, I was speaking to an operations director from another leasing company literally last week, and he said, oh my God, we've had an issue whereby we've not been able to get the vehicle into service, the driver's not told us, and all, unfortunately the engine's gone kaput. But if we'd had this technology to at least highlight that, we could have avoided that cost. And so we're doing, I think we're adding a slightly different outlook to standard fleet telematics, which is quite good for us. So yeah, it's exciting times, and like I said, we are seeing an increase in activity, which is good. I mean, I think the British people are just motoring on and carrying on, aren't they? You can't just stop. So it's quite encouraging to see the increase of activity.
Great. Okay, Chris, thank you very much. Thank you for taking the time to speak to me today.
Not a problem. My pleasure.